Center, the 10th straight win for the Knicks this postseason. They're the 10th team ever to do that in a single postseason. 5 of the previous 9 went on to win the NBA title, most recently the Celtics 2 seasons ago. In the building to witness it all, our NBA insider Brian Windhorst. Brian, I just never felt like Cleveland's best tonight was going to be better than the Knicks, who again have now won 10 consecutive games. What has this series shown us about this Knicks team?
They are a terrific team. And when you look at the way that they were constructed to eventually play this well. I don't know if anybody saw this coming, but when you watch specifically how their wings have played in this postseason, and they were huge tonight. And I'm talking about OG Anunoby, talking about Mikal Bridges. Like, nobody's going to shout from the streets in New York about how many draft picks the Knicks gave up for Mikal Bridges right now, because it is the first thing from everybody's mind. They made the investment in both of those players, giving draft picks and then big contracts for exactly the type of play that they are doing in this series. You add in Josh Hart, you add in, Landry Shamet coming off the bench. The Knicks are dominating this series on the wing. The Cavs have multiple all-star wings that are being outplayed by those guys. And I think one of the most impressive things, I was in the tunnel when the Knicks players came off the court. They're going to the finals, okay? No one's ever blown a 3-0 lead. They're playing great. They're going to the finals for the first time in all these guys' lifetimes, adult lifetimes. And they are totally business as usual. It was very impressive.
That is impressive, but we got to talk about the flip side here, Wendy. This Cavs team has not looked the same this series as they did earlier in the playoffs. What have you noticed and what have you learned about the Cavaliers these last 3 games?
Yeah, there's a scenario in which the Knicks would play at a certain level and the Cavs would play at a certain level that they could compete with the Knicks. But this level isn't it. And you see it on the defensive end of the court. They are just not good enough defensively to bail themselves out with the way their offensive level is right now. They've been a sort of a middling defensive team throughout the year. They did not have good defensive intensity tonight. And then you compound it by the fact that they have just not shot the ball well. This is a team that thrives on good outside shooting. They have been under 30% basically for the series. There are moments, where they look like they can get it going. But for the most part, and the Knicks have let them get open shots. I mean, the Knicks have doing a good job defensively, but the Cavs have not had an issue generating open shots. They just haven't been able to execute. You do wonder if fatigue is playing a factor, because the 2 7-game series and the way Game 1 was so emotionally gutting in overtime, maybe that's affected their legs a little bit. But to beat the Knicks that are this good right now, this is not an acceptable level that the Cavs are showing.
I used to host NBA Tonight with Mike Brown. He's at this point, he's on his 5th team, right? Cleveland, Lakers, the Dubs, the Kings. Now the Knicks. He's got the Knicks one win away. Cleveland twice. He's got the Knicks 1 win away from the NBA Finals. What a showing tonight there in Cleveland. Brian Windhorst.
During his career, and that's Amon Shumpert. Amon, plenty to unpack from this game. But with the Cavs now on the cusp of elimination, what is the biggest takeaway from your perspective of what you saw in their performance tonight?
I thought that they lacked a sense of urgency. I think that this is a back-to-the-wall style game. You let go of Game 1. You're coming into Game 3. You're trying to get your fans excited. And you're supposed to play like desperate men. Play like you haven't drank water in I don't know how long. It needed to be a desperation, and I didn't see the urgency. The biggest takeaway that I took from being able to locate times that there was no urgency was, where is the transition defense for this Cavaliers team? When a person breaks past the three-point line and gets into that key situation or gets into that paint situation, there has to be 2 guards back. There has to be a last line of defense. I thought that they did a very poor job of saying, let's pay attention to the details and pay attention to the small mistakes, the little mistakes that led to easy buckets for the Knicks. Let's take those away in Game 3. I didn't see that adjustment. I didn't see the attention to detail. It was honestly a disappointing performance from the Cavs.
And Shump, we can talk about Landry Shamet, and we will. He was great off the bench. But the Knicks starting lineup was dominant. Every player in double figures here. What is it about that group that has given Cleveland so many problems?
Well, what they're doing is they're changing sides of the floor. I think early on when we watched the Knicks, especially when they had problems with scoring the basketball, they had cold spells that happened. What they did was they put Karl Anthony Towns in a high post area. We put him on the sideline into a 21 action, and then there's cutting, there's movement, but the ball changes size of the floor, and we have Jalen Brunson to have a great floor game and say, hey, anytime we aren't going to those actions, now that we have, and I've sprayed the ball out a little bit, I can get my wiggle room. I can get downhill. I can make sure that we get FGAs and FGMs rather than get us TOs. And I think that he's done a great job of just being patient, letting things come to him, and showing the Cavaliers that no matter what they throw at him, he's going to pick it apart.
All right, I'm on Shumpert following the Knicks Game 3 victory. Shump, thanks for the perspective on a night the Knicks take a commanding 3-0 series lead here in the Eastern Conference Finals. New on SportsCenter now. A lot of questions to be answered for Cavaliers head coach Kenny Atkinson.
Kenny, you mentioned after Game 2 needing to go home and get your legs underneath you a little bit. Do you think that this group is out of gas?
I don't want Danny. It's hard for me to judge, right? I did think their physicality and energy level was much higher than ours. Kind of just call it what it is. But credit to them. I thought their physicality really got us. They turned us over. Early. They were into the ball, very handsy. The whole grab and hold thing, which is part of it, and we struggled to play through that physicality tonight.
Why do you think that you guys in this series, and especially tonight, have struggled from the perimeter shooting the basket? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm thinking. I'm sure our shot quality was good again, just not going down, and you got to run back, keep running back on defense. It puts a lot of pressure on your defense, especially a really good offensive team like that.
Yeah, I think Fred was telling me before the game, like, your expected shooting percentage is like 8. Yeah. Going into tonight was like 8 points lower than what it should be. So, I mean, that speaks to what you've been saying.
I think we won the expected all 3 games.
Yeah.
So, it's just, but there's expected and real. This is where we always get into that conversation, Joe. So, but they took, They were the more physical team tonight. I think their physicality and energy, and we just couldn't get to that level to combat it. I think the turnovers hurt us, Joe, and I think Shamet getting loose there. They had a role player step up on the road.
Chris Gent challenged our guys to start the game right. Especially with the execution of the first play, and our guys did it. Our guys, they were locked in from the beginning of the game, and it showed through that first offensive play, through the first few minutes of the game. We got a lot of great contributions from our guys. Josh was the connector that he was. 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. OG was fantastic. He hit some timely buckets for us, play after play after play after play. He had 21. He was really, really good, 7 rebounds, and he did a pretty good job of trying to keep Allen off the glass. That's who he matched up with. Cat, I mean, he was our hub offensively. 7 assists, 0 turnovers. He was really good for us offensively and defensively, the 3 steals, but his ability to fire back in the pick and roll situation was really good. Mikal, he just got to his spots. Mikal got to his spots all night. He hit big shot after big shot. And on top of that, he had 6 rebounds, and then trying to defend James, Hall of Famer, without fouling him. This really good ball game from Mikal. Jalen, he's MVP. He's an MVP candidate. He's supposed to do what he did tonight. He's got to go score it, or he's got to command a double team and make the game easier for everybody else. Our bench, everybody that came on the floor, they played great minutes for us, but I got to take my hat off to Landry. We put him on the floor in Josh's spot. they're paying a lot of attention to Jalen. Somebody's going to be open if the floor is spaced, and we're getting off the ball in a timely manner. And literally, because of the way they're playing D, we're just playing conceptually. We're really trying to play fast, trying to space the floor the right way, trying to touch the paint, trying to make quick decisions with the basketball. So our guys are just doing a great job playing out of our concepts, especially when they're blitzing, soft blitzing, kind of zoning up, and doing different things defensively. But Landry was huge. And then, on the other end of the floor, he's got to match up with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, which is a tough cover for anybody. And you're not going to stop him, but you got to work your tail off. And Landry's trying to work. Two things happened in the second half. I thought throughout the whole game, I thought we did a good job of trying to play fast. We want to play fast against these guys at every opportunity we can get. We don't want to go against their set defense all the time, so we got to keep trying to play fast. And then our guys did a better job in the second half of trying to defend without fouling. They tried to show their hands and lead with their chests, and we got to continue to do that in Game 4.